Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. This is Monday, June 30th. This is episode 208. I'm Matt. This is Don. The white-haired mane over there is Chuck Miketinac, back and fresh from vacation. Chuck, how are you?
Full of pep.
Full of pep.
Yes.
That's what we need. Chuck, did you do anything interesting on vacation? Or you? No?
Yeah, a little of this, a little of that.
Saw some boxing?
Saw some boxing. That was fun. Enjoyed Wichita, Kansas. Nice little town.
Got to see a 40-year-old Deontay Wilder beat up on our local boy.
Yes. Deontay Wilder is still the real deal, man. That guy looks like he's been chiseled out of a block of granite. And at 6'7" and that length, he is something to behold and probably the last guy you'd like to fight or have a bunch of rings around you and say, go get that guy.
He's got a 97.7% knockout percentage, so that's pretty damn good. 83-inch reach really gets you.
Yes.
Anyway, subscribe to the YouTube channel, both News 4, Fox SA, download, rate, review the podcast version, wherever you get your podcasts. Got a lot going on, as always. Spurs rookies both introduced this weekend, and a couple of things that Dylan said that really perked up some ears. Didn't take long for Harper to all but guarantee a playoff spot next year, so we'll talk about that. Plus, you get to hear from both rookies, and I got to talk to Sean Elliott a little bit this weekend about how he thinks the team's going to fit together around Carter Bryant. I keep wanting to say Carter as his last name. I don't know why. Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper in tow, and if he thinks that they'll make the playoffs next year as well. Plus, free agency starts today. Who are the Spurs going to target? Who should they be targeting? And should Spurs fans temper their expectations when it comes to free agency this year? So let's get started. We're going to start with the rookie introductions. There was a great event up at the Rocket La Cantera. There was a lot of people there, probably a couple hundred people there to interact with Dylan Harper, interact with Carter Bryant, see them Q&A. They asked a lot of taco questions to the rookies, as would be expected of San Antonio, and they asked a lot of Fiesta questions, but credit to Carter and Dylan. They don't know anything about Fiesta at the moment, but they answered them as well as they could have. Before we get started on the introductions, want to address the number aspect of this. Dylan Harper's going to be wearing number 2. Bryant going to be wearing number 11. No one has worn number 2 since he who shall not be named, Kawhi Leonard, left in 2018. There was a lot on Twitter, and I saw you commenting on some of it, Don, saying, I will show restraint, I will show restraint, I will show restraint. About people saying that it's disrespectful for the Spurs to continue to use the number 2.
Two people, both blogger guys that live in their mom's basement who don't live in San Antonio.
So for people who think that Kawhi Leonard's number should be retired by the Spurs because of the contributions that he made in his 7-year run, just give me your take on why it hasn't been and why it won't ever be. Don.
Because he threw a nuclear bomb into the franchise on his way out. And he will never – I think he has been forgiven by some, including Pop. I don't think it will ever be forgotten. Especially it won't be forgotten by some guys whose jerseys hang up there, who were on that last team, who in a players-only meeting, are you with us? Are you not, man? We're getting to the playoffs here. It's our last kind of run. We just need to know. And he said, nope, I'm not with you. And he hadn't been with them all year. He went to Chain on his own. We could dig all the way through that stuff. But there was anger, vitriol, and disrespect forevermore when it comes to him.
I don't know. I just have a sense that sometimes time heals all wounds, right? And, I mean, he did win a championship here. They don't win a championship without him. And
they don't get to the finals without him the year before either.
Yeah, and they were really good the year after, too. And that one, the year that they had to play Golden State in the Western Conference Finals, and they were a heavy underdog, but they were up, 20-something points. And then he goes down with the ankle injury.
The old Zaza Pachulia game.
Yes. So, I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag, and it's maybe hard, I think, to sit back and appreciate what he did when things were going well, because things did go so bad. But I think over time, especially as we get further and further away from the championship era, that maybe what he did here wasn't all bad and there was a lot of good that came out
Do you
of it.
think
He was a good player.
Do you think if he left on better terms that it would be retired? Because he objectively, there's well, no, eventually though. Like there's players on the list of retired Spurs jerseys that he had a better career than in a Spurs jersey. You can argue that he had a better career than James Silas, than Johnny Moore, than Avery Johnson. You can argue that he had a better career and a bigger impact on the Spurs than at least those three players.
Yeah, but they're not hanging in there because they won championships, right? So like,
I mean Avery did, but the other two did not.
yeah, but Avery when he retired was the all-time assist leader. Like you got to remember, Kawhi was the fourth best player on the teams until after that 2014 championship. Tim, Tony, and Manu averaged all more points than he did in 13 and 14. He was a part, and Andre Iguodala won a Finals MVP on a team with Steph and Clay and Draymond, and Andre Iguodala won the Finals MVP. Kawhi was very good. He was still the third or fourth leading scorer in the playoffs.
But it was
in 2014.
2014 was kind of his coming of age.
Correct.
Like 2014 was like Kawhi Leonard is now, the torch has been passed. He is now going to be our best player from now on, pretty much, because Tim was nearing the end, Tony was nearing the end, Manu was nearing the end. It was almost like wow, the Spurs have a guy that's going to continue this dynasty now that you have this dude.
And he was very good. But he was good because the big three allowed him to be, right? I mean, he was a weapon, and they recognized it. And just like David, let Tim carry the torch, those guys knew that he could really help them win. And he did help them win. And you could argue that his contributions are worthy of jersey retirement up until the last 2 years. And then, I mean, there's a reason that Larry Keenan's jersey is not retired. Larry Keenan was a great player and an all-star, one of the few Spurs to ever be voted to be a starter in the all-star game. And he was a 2-time all-star. He was a 4-time ABA NBA all-star. He's still, and I've made the case for Keenan many times, he's still the only guy other than David Robinson to average 20 and 10 for a career here. His jersey's not hanging up because he got sideways with Red McCombs and Bob Bass on the way out. And then the new regime came in. But Larry Keenan's jersey deserves to be retired too. There's Bruce Bowen, I could argue, not necessarily does.
I mean, won, 4 championships with them? Three.
Bruce?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah, but again, Bruce was, it depends, and this is not like Hall of Fame baseball talk. This is like franchises have different criteria, and Bruce was a great guy and a great member of the community and a defensive thing that you can't really measure. And so they, decided he was worthy. And I think once you put Johnny Moore up, you make the argument for anybody because Johnny, in my mind, was the least worthy of jersey retirement. But once he went up, they had to retire Avery's because Avery broke his assist record. And, it should be what, 3? Tim?
No, it should be 5.
It should be Tim, David,
Tony,
Manu,
George,
and Ice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be, that would be the guys that are Hall of Famers.
And Sean.
Yeah. But if you cut it off at Hall of Fame only, then that would be those 5.
Pop should, I don't know how you retire Pop's number, but it'll be up there at some point.
Yeah, but
so no issues with Harper taking number 2 is what I hear.
No, never. And it never went into my mind because I know they were never retiring Kawhi's jersey.
They never will.
Pop, RC, Tim, Manu, Tony all die, and Kawhi's 75 years old. Then maybe.
Let's go ahead and knock on wood there.
It's not happening while those guys are breathing air.
Okay, so segue. Period. End of.
And it's going to go up It's going to go up with Dylan Harper.
Oh yeah.
Wow, wouldn't that be
something? That's a hell of a prediction.
It could.
All right. So anyway, Harper made some other headlines this week besides the number that he's wearing, and I don't know if he really had a choice in that matter. I'm sure that they asked him, "Do you want number 2?" and he said yes.
I asked him at the pre-draft.
What did he say?
That's what he wanted.
That's what he wanted. Okay. So he made some other headlines. I was able to ask him one of the last questions of the press conference, and it was you'll get to hear the question as well. What's your message to Spurs fans as you come in with this really young core? And he had a hell of an answer that actually got applause from a crowd that was mainly media and Spurs and his family. But there were some Spurs fans in that room, and they all loved hearing this answer. So let's hear that. The Spurs fan base is craving another playoff run, another dynasty like they've had in the past. Haven't been to the playoffs in 6 years. What's your message to Spurs fans as you come in as part of this extremely young, talented team?
I mean, that's going to change really quick. That's going to change quick. I mean, we're going to make the playoffs.
The Spurs haven't made the playoffs in 6 years. And he's coming in saying, we're going to make the playoffs. How do you take that, Chuck? How do you take it? Do you take it as a confidence thing, or do you take it as like okay, chill, rookie?
No, I don't take it as a chill thing, because that's what I think everybody wants to hear and needs to hear, and I think maybe everybody in the room needs to hear, and maybe something that Dylan Harper's just saying to get the applause or whatever. I doubt that's what it is. I mean, he doesn't have any reason to think that can't happen, and so why wouldn't you think that I'm a good player? I got drafted where I got drafted. They're bringing me in for a reason, and that should at least be the goal. I mean, it should be the goal of everybody, right? We're not coming here just to roll the ball out and not do great things.
Don, don't you think it's a little bit different hearing Harper say this than it would be hearing like Wemby say this? Like him coming in and in his opening press conference saying we're going to make the playoffs is a certain level of confidence, erring on the side of cockiness that a lot of people love to hear, but when it doesn't happen, or if it doesn't happen, will come back to bite him in the butt.
Yeah, but I mean, we remember a couple years ago the Keldon Johnsons and the Devin Vassell's of the world were telling us they were going to make the playoffs. It's just young guys having confidence, but I think it's realistic now. I mean, I think you can make the argument that had Wemby stayed healthy and De'Aaron Fox finished the year, that team could have made the play-in, if not the playoffs. At one point in December, they were,
they were 500.
They were way ahead of where they were the year before. And so I think if Wemby's healthy, Fox is healthy, Castle, Rookie of the Year, is working his tail off this summer. You add Harper. Depends on how they, finish the rest of the roster. But the West is very crowded, but I think you can start to see that the Phoenixes and Golden States of the world are vulnerable. And Houston's getting really good this offseason. They're going to be a beast with the others. But, Denver's not Denver anymore. I think the Spurs right now, if I was to guess, I see is 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people just love to hear it. Like, because it's been so long since – it seems like it's been forever since the Spurs were talked about as a relevant team. I mean, 22 wins for a couple of years in a row, 33 wins last year. They were bordering on play-in a couple of years ago, or about 5 years ago, before everything bottomed out. So now it's just like they're craving relevancy so much that when you hear a guy who was just picked number 2 in the draft come in and say, we're going to make the playoffs, you're like, hell yeah, we are. You go, bro. Let's see it. So I love hearing that from him. And a lot of Spurs fans that commented on the video that I posted of that love to hearing it as well. They're just excited to see somebody have that kind of confidence. And we're hearing the same things from the organization. When you sat down with Peter Holt, he was like, we don't expect to be picking in the lottery again.
Yeah.
So do you think that's the mindset now?
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be. Yeah. I mean,
it's a change from like, let's teach to let's win.
Well, they don't skip steps and they build block by block and all that. But they're expecting to win. Yeah, it reminds me of that David Robinson, Sean Elliott rookie year when they came in together because David had to serve the Navy thing. And they went, 20-62 to 62-20 overnight? I don't think this team does that. But I think this is the year that they definitely make the jump. I think we're underestimating what De'Aaron Fox meant once he got here. And then he shut it down pretty quickly after Wemby got hurt.
Yeah, because there was no reason for him to keep playing with that battered pinky.
I think Fox is going to make a big difference. I think Castle's going to make a big difference. I think Harper and Bryant are going to make a difference.
Either way, it's going to be an interesting year, and it's been a wild 72 to 96 hours for the two rookies. I mean, they basically go. We ended the NBA Finals a week and a day ago, 8 days ago. And already we've had the NBA draft. Spurs rookies have been introduced. The summer league schedule's out and free agency starting today. So I can't imagine what life
practice today.
Yeah, and they practice today. I can't imagine what life's been like for Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper. But upon their introductory press conference, this is a couple of bites that I thought I really liked from Dylan Harper and how he's kind of adjusting now to the emotions of being in the NBA.
I mean, first off, I'm just grateful to be in this position with such a great organization. Growing up, these are one of the teams you always want to play for, and just seeing their dynasty and just keep wanting to build on them banners like you just said and want to add a few more. So, it's definitely been great, and I've been having a great time. I think both of us just want to fit in however we're going to fit in, just keep growing and elevating this young core like you just said. The way they're playing, you can see the flashes, everything else. So, for me, just wanting to come in and just whatever coach asks me to do and whatever's the best for the team, I'm going to go out there and do.
Don, how do you think that Dylan came across during his interactions with the media, the fans, everything this weekend?
He was great. Yeah. I was telling somebody on the phone yesterday, he kind of reminds me of Tiger in the sense that he's been groomed for this since he was a young kid. His dad was an NBA player. His mom was his coach. He's very well trained in media. I watched him get asked some really tough questions on the availability the day before the draft that could have gotten into some hot water about Ace Bailey and all that stuff with the choosing the team and all that. And the way he handled that, I said, okay, this kid knows he's had some media training.
Yeah. Chuck, when you watch the entire presser, there was 4 or 5 different instances when I was rewatching it back after we were there that he was you could tell the competitiveness of him. One was the clip we already heard with him saying we're going to make the playoffs. 2, they were talking about how Carter Bryant and him used to play against each other in AAU ball, and he was like, "What did we win by? 15? You remember 15?" And he's like, "Carter can't guard me anyway." So you see the glimpses of how competitive a kid is like that. What can a kid like that, a competitiveness like that, bring to a team that already has Wemby and Devin Vassell and De'Aaron Fox and everybody?
You can see why everybody thought so highly of him. The thing that impresses me is his maturity level, and he's very measured, and you could tell it speaks to his intelligence level too on a lot of different in a lot of different ways. The way he communicates, I think it's impressive how he's very engaging and engages with a myriad of people on social media. And I don't know, it just seems like he's gotten pretty far in a very short period of times in terms of years that is not common amongst people in his age group.
Yeah, the guy
or anybody's age group.
The guy I was really impressed with on Saturday was Carter Bryant. Like his answers, how he interacted with people, his graciousness, I guess, of just being excited to be in the building was something that I think is extremely endearing to fans. And then you see that he speaks fluent ASL and sign language because both of his grandparents were deaf and that his mom is Latino, his dad is African-American. He has all of these communities that he's now representing in the NBA, and he takes that as like a badge of honor. And so let's hear a couple of bites from Carter during his introductory presser.
A lot of emotions going on. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I'm just ready to get to work. I don't really think it's hit me yet. To be completely honest with you, I have moments where it's like, before I go to bed, I'm like, wow, like I'm really a San Antonio Spur, or I really got to shake Adam Silver's hand, and I really get to go to a great organization, or I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, I get to play basketball for a living. Like, this is pretty dope. Like, this is what I've dreamed of my whole life. It means everything. I think for me, I'm just trying to represent everything as well as I can, whether that's the Latino community, the deaf community, Riverside, California, whatever the case may be, along with the African-American community as well. So I think for myself, I'm just proud to be myself every day and just represent myself and just my community and my culture at a national level.
Hey, Riverside, California, shout out. I honestly don't know how you can listen or hear what he had to say on Saturday or even during the draft process and be like, yeah, screw that kid. I hope he doesn't succeed. Right. Like, I honestly don't know how you can think that.
So I didn't watch a lot of tape before the draft on him, and I watched his Arizona tape, which he only played 1 year at Arizona and came off the bench, only averaged 6 points, but he shot almost 40%. And he has good range from deep. But you go back and you look at his high school tape when he was McDonald's All-American. He's got great handles. He's got a Kawhi-like frame. He's a big kid. He's got big, broad shoulders, and he's incredibly bouncy, like dunk contest worthy bouncy. So I think he's a project, way more of an unfinished product than Harper. But there's no doubt he's Keldon and Jeremy's replacement.
He's someone that can compete right away, I think. He's not we talked about this on Thursday. He's not a CD Sissoko type project.
No.
Like, he's going to come in and be on the roster, and he's going to compete for playing time.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, he's young. I mean, he wasn't a guy that was playing a ton of minutes his freshman year. Granted, he was on a veteran team. So there's some of that. And I think we have to be a little more patient with this pick than maybe the number 2 overall.
For sure.
I think there are going to be a lot of nights in Austin.
And to your,
You do?
Yeah, I do.
I think maybe early on.
I think that he takes the place on a roster of someone like a Malachi or end of the bench kind of.
But he's got to play too.
He's got to play, but you also gain a lot of experience by competing and practicing with the big club.
I don't know. That's a good question. We'll see how he does in camp. You ask how they're feeling, this week. That's Dylan Harper's first 2-week paycheck.
$400,000 is what
I think he's feeling very nice. For an 19-year-old.
Did you see all this
I
stuff?
saw you doing the math over there. I'm thinking, man, I hope that's your 401k.
Yeah,
bro.
that's what I was thinking. Did you guys see on Twitter after Dylan was drafted, or X after Dylan was drafted, that they were comparing his rookie salary to what his dad made in?
Oh, his dad never made it.
Yeah, his dad was $35 million over a 15-year NBA career, and Dylan's going to make $56 million in his rookie contract. And he was like, "Hey, man, glad he's making money." I'm sure that Ron's just happy he's off the payroll.
I think the most Ron ever made in 1 year was $4 million, and his rookie deal is $10 million.
Hey, it's pretty good living.
Yeah, good player too, man.
Two other things that I want to make an observation of from Saturday. One, the Spurs brought in deaf kids from Sunshine Cottage on Saturday, and you saw like interactions with Carter, and it was just like chef's kiss.
Really
it was amazing seeing him, all these kids with cochlear implants and all that stuff, and actually communicating via sign language with Carter and his mom was awesome. Second thing was to the competitiveness thing we were talking about with Dylan. They had a Spurs camp, Spurs Academy afterwards, after the introductions and all that stuff. And me and Mary Romager over at KSAT were both standing there and witnessing Dylan spike kids into the next millennium. And then there was a kid that was maybe 3 feet tall that was trying to guard Dylan full court just for fun. And he nutmegs the kid and goes between his legs and then goes up and makes a layup on the other end. I was like, Dylan, come on, man. This kid's like 6 years old.
Giannis was doing that stuff too.
So funny. Anyway, let's get to the Sean Elliott part of this. So I got to talk to Sean today. He doesn't seem too concerned about how there was a lot of talk before the draft about how these guys are going to fit onto a roster that already has a lot of point guards and threes. And so he doesn't seem very concerned about it. Let's hear that bite.
Victor's going to be improved. Same thing with Steph Castle. Then you talk about our guys with Keldon and Devin and Jeremy Sohan putting in the work. This is a team that can be extremely dangerous, and so I hope our guys looked at what OKC accomplished during their playoff run, and they aspire to be exactly the same way.
I exported the wrong bite, but you still get the gist. He thinks that this team can be a playoff team, and that the San Antonio Spurs can be extremely dangerous in the Western Conference next year. Chuck, do you agree with how this roster is currently constituted?
I think they can be a playoff team as it's currently constituted. I don't want to segue too quickly into getting into free agency.
That's where we're going, so go for it.
So, yeah, they got to make some more moves, and they're primed to do so. So, it's one thing to think, okay, we can just make the playoffs, but is that the mindset of the organization? Let's not only think about making the playoffs, let's thinking about having a really deep team, a really, a team that's got a little of this, a little of that, and can really make some heavy-duty moves in the Western Conference. Not just a team that's vying to get into the play-in or to be, one of the lower seeds, but to really make a serious move or make an attempt to make a serious move in the Western Conference this year. I think it's going to take more.
Don?
Yeah, I agree. You start looking at their team and you think, okay, they're going to be pretty good. And they will be. But the problem is Houston. Man, Houston's getting really good.
Dallas, too.
Dallas with Cooper Flagg, if Kyrie's healthy. and Anthony
he won't be
Davis.
for the first
Yeah.
couple months of the season.
And then you have Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and the rest. Denver.
Lakers, Clippers.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Lakers.
I mean,
but
still good teams with LeBron and Luka.
Yeah,
You're not going to get a bad team with Luka.
it's really, really deep. And so because of that, if they were in the Eastern Conference, yeah, I'd have them as fourth or fifth best team. But they're gonna have to fight. I think they will in time. I don't know if it's this year. I do think they'll make the playoffs this year. I don't think they'll be an upper echelon Western Conference Finals team for a couple when Wemby, Castle, Harper mature. They never do. Look at this SGA Oklahoma City team. This is his fifth or sixth year in Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they made
Right?
that. They made the Paul George trade in 19, I think.
Yeah.
20?
So they've gone from 20 to 22 to 40 to 54 to 60.
68. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's taken 4 or 5 years to build all that, to get Hartenstein, to add some pieces, add Caruso. You got to cook that soup for a little while.
As far as who should the Spurs go after in free agency, I think it falls more on when you look at names like a Luke Cornett. I don't know if the Celtics are going to let Luke Cornett out the door now because they traded Kristaps, but you look at a Luke Cornett as far as size goes, a Brook Lopez, an Al Horford, somebody of that nature that can help take some size and beating off of Victor. It would be somebody that they should target, right, Don?
Those are the names. It's basically Yabusele and Cornett.
Yabusele's not a center, though. He can't really take that size, that beating.
He guards the 5 because he's so thick. He's kind of like when Malik Rose guarded Shaq. He guards the 5.
I didn't go well either for Malik Rose.
But he's not incredibly long. No, he didn't. Malik did a good job on Shaq.
As good a job as you can do on Shaq.
Yeah. I think Cornett's the name that's kind of, if they offer him the full 14.1 mid-level, it doesn't look like Boston's going to be able to match that. I think they're looking at getting 2 guys. And I'm hearing Brook Lopez is going to the Lakers, but we'll see. It may all happen today.
I mean, yeah, the free agency opens here in just a few
5
hours.
o'clock.
Yeah, that's when the negotiating window opens. You really can't sign anybody until July 6th.
The negotiating's already begun.
Yeah, the legal tampering or whatever the hell they want to call it, just like in the NFL.
It's been going on for
just
weeks.
open it up. Let's just
Yeah.
stop finding people for tampering.
It's amazing that it opens at 5 o'clock and at 5:01 deals are done.
Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly. Somebody's reporting.
That must have been a
Well, we
nice
can't say
text that they
anything
sent at
until
5:01.
whatever day it is.
As far as the shooting aspect goes, there's a lot of shooters on the market. Flooded the market. Malik Beasley will take him off because he's got some other things going on now.
Let's see where that story goes.
Yeah, that's something for another day. Luke Kennard is on the open market. Duncan Robinson going to be on the open market. There's a lot of guys that can spot up and hit a knockdown 3. Do you expect and do you want them to sign 1 or maybe 2 of those guys to this roster?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out. I mean, are they going to go in all, right up off the jump, or are they going to wait and let the market kind of dictate who's doing what or who goes where and all that kind of stuff? I mean, it's hard to figure out exactly what it is that they're going to ultimately end up doing because, like even Cornette, you're looking at a guy that plays 15, 16 minutes a ball game. So you're not talking about high impact, roster changing, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you're looking for pieces that kind of fit what you're looking to ultimately end up trying to do. I'm just curious to see ultimately where the Giannis market is going to go because I don't think he's going to be back in Milwaukee at the end of this. It just seems like that's getting harder and harder for me to believe at this point.
There was a headline this morning, I think it was either Brian Windhorst or Sean Marks, one of the two, that said that teams like the Spurs and Miami were waiting or have been, I guess, biding their time for the Giannis market to heat up, which is why they weren't so into the KDs of the world and weren't into those other trades. At this point, and Don, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, that it seems like this team is going to go in kind of as they have it right now. Maybe there's a small trade that goes on with a Keldon or a Harrison or something like that. But this team's going to go in with Devin on the roster. They're going to go in with their big 5 now. And they're going to see exactly how this goes. So in free agency, you're going to see a lot of smaller deals. You're going to see a Luke Kennard for $5 million. You're going to see a Duncan Robinson for $10 million. You're going to see a Yabusele for $10 million. You're going to see things like that to round out the roster. And then the big move comes maybe in January or February when you see, okay, this is how this team is meshing together.
Could happen in January, February. I think it's going to be just like last offseason. I think there's going to be the Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes. You're just going to go, it's not huge, but
It's crafty.
it's going to work. Yeah, that's just the way they operate. They're going to do something where you go, like Luke Cornett. I didn't consider him until yesterday when it really heated up talking about his name. And I went, it's exactly what they need. He's a banger. He's going to come in and get you 6 or 8 points, 6 or 8 rebounds. He's going to always make the right play or try to. He's going to dive on the floor. He's going to pick a fight inside with somebody. He's physical. He's like Hartenstein kind of.
Let me ask you this. Shams Charania just tweeting out, Jordan Clarkson finalizing a contract buyout with the Utah Jazz. Would you like to see him come home to San Antonio?
They said he said he's finalizing a new contract with the Jazz?
Finalizing a contract buyout. So he's being bought out of the Jazz. Would you like to see him come home?
He's got a really nice house here. I know that. And he's sitting courtside at Wimbledon today.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
See Alcaraz almost lose?
I would love to see him join the Spurs, man. That guy's a bucket, and he's a great kid.
Yeah, I mean, if the
But they
price
haven't
is
allowed
right,
those.
he's certainly made his money in the league too. So maybe you'd give him a little bit of a sweetheart deal.
You know who the Spurs should not sign? It's DeAndre Ayton. We have too many Wildcats on this team.
No way.
We have too many Wildcats on this team. All right.
He's not a Spur.
Anything?
Hey, there was an interesting question I thought came in from someone named DA. I was wondering.
DeAndre Ayton?
Could be. With this roster, is it enough to coax Tim Duncan back under the coaching staff?
Take it.
He'll never coach?
No. Tim did that as a pop favor for as long as he could stand it. He didn't finish the season.
Didn't you say
Right,
he was miserable? He hated
He
it?
was miserable. Like if you have all the money in the world and you're playing video games and paintball and whatever he's doing these days, that road is a grind. That job is a grind. You have to watch film and you have to do scouts and you have to. That's a 80-hour-a-week job.
You got one other one?
In all the trade talk, Clint Capella kept coming up over and over again. We like him.
If you're bringing him in to 15, 20 minutes a game off the bench, yeah. I like Clint
I've always
Capella.
liked that guy's game too. I haven't seen or heard much from him lately, but
The team needs
always
someone.
one of those guys that's like, man, he seems like a handful.
Clippers,
Clint Capella?
I think.
The team needs someone to come in and just kick some ass. Clint Capella is that guy that can come in and kick some ass. Luke Cornett's that guy. Your Yabusele is that guy.
Yeah.
You just need someone that can come in and be like, don't F with my dude over here.
Yeah.
So whoever that is, I don't really care who it is, but you definitely need some kind of enforcer to come in. And
Jeremy gives them some of that. They need some.
he's
more.
not, but he's not
not big
enough.
enough.
He's not enough.
Well,
He
that's a
can't-
question that's come up in the comments a lot, too, is does Sochan still fit on this team?
He does because he only makes $7 million, and his salary. He's a great value as long as his contract stays right where it is. They'd love to move Devin's number and length, but there's no takers. Devin has no market because he's making $27 million a year, and they got 4 years on his
He's
deal.
also team controlled, for 4 years.
Yeah.
So. All right, that's all we got for today on the Sneakers Cleats podcast. We'll talk more about Summer League coming up on Thursday as those rosters came out, the coach came out, and the schedules are out as well. And the Spurs are playing literally the other top 5 teams in the NBA draft. They're playing all of them in Vegas. So we'll talk about all that. Remember, download, review the podcast version. Give us a 5-star rating. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll be back on Thursday. See you then.